Queen Elira sat alone on the highest balcony of her palace, staring at the distant horizon. The twin suns of her world were setting, painting the sky with shades of red and gold, but she barely noticed. Her heart felt heavy, weighed down by years of sorrow. It had been many years since her daughters disappeared, and still, every corner of the palace whispered their absence. The younger princess, Leora, was only 10 when she vanished, full of laughter and curiosity. Her elder sister, Celine, had been 15, calm and thoughtful, always watching over her younger sibling. The two were inseparable, the pride and joy of Elira's life. And then one night, without warning, they were gone. No trace, no message, nothing. The entire kingdom had searched. Royal guards had scoured forests, mountains, and rivers. Magicians and scholars had tried to unravel the mystery. Even the stars themselves had been watched, hoping for a sign of their daughters. Yet no one had found them. The loss left the queen broken, and the kingdom draped in a quiet gloom. Festivals were muted, songs of joy faded, and the once bright city seemed to hold its breath in mourning. Rumors, of course, spread. Some said a dark force had taken the girls. Others whispered that the daughters had crossed into a forbidden realm, a place where only the bravest or the luckiest could survive. But Queen Elira refused to believe in luck. She believed in her daughters and in the hope that one day they might return across the stars. Far from the queen's kingdom, humans thrived on a small, bustling colony called Terra Nova. It was a world of strong mountains, deep oceans, and endless skies. Here lived Kale, a young human explorer known for his curiosity and courage. Unlike most humans, Kale had an unshakable sense of adventure. He did not settle for the ordinary, preferring the unknown and the impossible. Kale had been studying ancient star charts when he found something unusual. A series of faint signals, almost like whispers in the void, seemed to point toward a hidden part of space no one had dared to explore. These signals were unlike anything he had seen before, patterns of energy that moved with intelligence, almost as if someone or something wanted to be found. Kale studied the signals for days, tracing them back through hundreds of star systems. He discovered hints of a kingdom, a majestic world ruled by a queen with stories of missing princesses. At first, he could hardly believe it. Missing royal daughters in a distant world? It sounded like a fairy tale. Yet the evidence was real. Old records, encrypted transmissions, and strange energy patterns that matched the signals. He packed his small spacecraft, careful and precise. Supplies, navigation tools, emergency pods, everything needed for a long journey across uncharted space. His neighbors shook their heads when they heard of his plan. "It's too dangerous," they said. "No one comes back from that sector." But Kale only smiled. Danger was part of the adventure, and he knew humans were built for challenges others could not face. The journey began at sunrise. Kale's ship, the Stellar Voyager, lifted off from the colony, leaving trails of fire against the clear blue sky. Space was vast and empty, but Kale felt no fear. He had trained for this. He had studied alien worlds, survival techniques, and navigation beyond the known stars. Still, as he passed through the first asteroid belt, a shiver ran down his spine. The universe was full of wonders and dangers alike. Days turned into weeks as Kale navigated through cosmic storms and meteor fields. Some nights he floated past glowing nebulae, watching colors swirl like liquid fire. He often imagined what the queen's daughters might look like. Would they remember their home? Would they even know him as a human if they could see him now? Questions filled his mind, but he pushed them aside. First, he had to reach the hidden realm. Finally, Kale arrived at the edge of the mysterious sector. The stars here were strange, twisted in ways he had never seen. Energy fields glowed faintly, forming paths that seemed almost alive. The signals had grown stronger, guiding him like a distant beacon. He followed them carefully, avoiding unstable zones that could tear his ship apart. One night, while passing through a dense asteroid cloud, Kale detected movement on his sensors. Strange ships, small but fast, were approaching. Kale's heart pounded. These were not friendly explorers. Something was patrolling the sector, guarding it. He piloted the Stellar Voyager with precision, weaving between asteroids and using the ship's cloaking device to hide. Hours passed before the threat disappeared. Kale breathed a sigh of relief. The danger had been real, but humans were survivors, and he had made it through. The hidden world finally came into view, a planet unlike any Kale had seen. Its surface shimmered with blue and silver hues, Forests of crystal-like trees stretching across vast plains. Massive towers spiraled into the sky, glowing softly with an inner light. It was beautiful and alien, yet somehow familiar, as if the planet itself had a heartbeat. Kale landed carefully on a plateau overlooking the capital city. The signals were strongest here, almost like a pulse calling out to him. He stepped out of the ship, feeling the alien air brush against his skin. It was breathable, surprisingly gentle, with a faint scent of flowers he had never smelled before. As he gazed at the palace in the distance, Kyle felt a mixture of awe and determination. This was no ordinary rescue mission. This was a chance to restore hope to a grieving queen, to prove that humans, though far from home, could make a difference in worlds they had never known. Kyle set up his small exploration camp, studying the palace from afar. Guards patrolled the walls, magical energy pulsed around the towers, and strange creatures moved in the gardens below. The princesses, if they were alive, were somewhere inside, waiting for a chance to be free. Kale knew that cleverness, courage, and patience would be needed to reach them. Night fell over the alien kingdom, twin moons rising above the city. Kale looked up at the stars, feeling the weight of the mission ahead. He thought of the queen, of her lost daughters, and of the long journey that had brought him here. Somewhere in the hidden corners of this world, hope waited, and humans, with all their ingenuity and courage, had a role to play. As Kale prepared for the next step, he felt a quiet determination settle in his heart. The journey had just begun. Beyond the walls of the palace, the missing princesses slept, or perhaps plotted their escape. Soon the threads of fate would draw them together, and soon a human would prove that courage, kindness, and cleverness could change the destiny of a kingdom. The stars sparkled above, silent witnesses to the beginning of an extraordinary adventure. Kale left the plateau before dawn. The alien world below was quiet, bathed in soft silver light from its twin moons. He had studied the city from afar and memorized the patrols of guards and the movements of strange creatures. But Kale knew the first challenge was not to enter the palace. It was to locate the hidden dimension where the princesses were trapped. His research had revealed hints in ancient star charts, scattered records of portals and energy anomalies. The signals that guided him were strongest here, but they were unstable. The hidden realm seemed almost alive, shifting in response to movement and energy. Kale's human intuition, his ability to observe, reason, and adapt, became his greatest tool. Kale navigated through forests of crystal trees, their branches like mirrors reflecting the faint moonlight. Strange sounds echoed through the air, creatures communicating in clicks and whistles, energies humbling even the most advanced human sensors. Kale recorded everything carefully, knowing that understanding the environment was as important as reaching his goal. As the sun rose over the horizon, the true challenge of space travel called to him. Beyond this world, he would need to traverse uncharted sectors, regions of dangerous cosmic storms and rogue asteroids. The journey would test him, but Kale was ready. Humans had always been explorers. When other species feared the unknown, humans learned from it. His ship, the Stellar Voyager, lifted off silently, gliding over shimmering lakes and forests that sparkled like diamonds. Kale's mind focused on the signals pulsing ahead. They were uneven, flickering, almost like a heartbeat. He adjusted the ship's trajectory, matching speed and energy frequency to maintain the signal path. The hidden realm was not just in space, it was in energy itself, a place where physics bent and space-time shifted. Hours passed as Kale crossed the first asteroid belt. The rocks were massive, some larger than small cities. Sensors beeped constantly, warning of collisions. Kale's hands moved swiftly on the controls, weaving the Stellar Voyager through narrow gaps. He imagined the princesses, wondering if they remembered their home. Perhaps they were strong, clever, or hopeful. Kale smiled faintly. Humans had a way of noticing details others missed, of seeing patterns in chaos. That skill would help him succeed. As night fell over the starfields, Kyle paused to rest. He floated in zero gravity, gazing at the nebulae stretching across the sky. Colors he had never seen before. Violet, turquoise, and gold swirled together like rivers of light. He thought about Earth, his home, and how distant it now felt. Yet the thought of the princesses gave him purpose. Their lives, their hope depended on him. Suddenly, alarms blared. A rogue energy wave, a cosmic storm, approached at impossible speed. Kale reacted instantly, activating the ship's shields. Lightning-like energy arced across the ship's hull. He guided the vessel with calm precision, tilting and rotating to minimize impact. The stellar Voyager emerged from the portal into a world unlike anything Kale had ever seen. The sky shimmered with colors that changed like flowing water, and the ground beneath glowed faintly with bioluminescent patterns. Trees with translucent leaves stretched high above, their branches humming softly with energy. Strange creatures moved gracefully among the glowing plants, their eyes reflecting curiosity and caution. Kyle's heart raced. This was no ordinary alien world. He had expected danger, but he had not expected beauty like this. Alive, vibrant, and mysterious. He adjusted the ship's sensors, scanning for life forms and energy sources. The signals guiding him to the princesses were faint but growing stronger. They were near. Stepping out of the ship, Kale felt the energy of the realm brush against him. It was different from the air of any planet he had visited. It seemed alive, almost sentient, as if the world itself was aware of his presence. He took a cautious step forward, feeling both awe and anticipation. Every human instinct in him told him that patience and careful observation were as important as courage. Following the signals, Kale moved through glowing forests and crystalline hills. Strange creatures approached briefly, sniffing the air around him, but none attacked. Kale remained calm, speaking softly and moving slowly. His human ability to connect, to show non-threat, seemed to work even here. The creatures watched, then disappeared into the shimmer of the landscape. Finally, Kyle reached a large structure of glowing crystal towers. Energy flowed around them like rivers of light. The signals were strongest here, but barriers of pure energy blocked the way. Kyle studied them carefully. They were not just walls. They were puzzles, responsive to thought and movement. Technology alone could not open the path. One had to understand the flow, the rhythm, the energy. Kale crouched, observing the patterns. He noticed small fluctuations in the energy waves, almost like a language. He mimicked the patterns using a small device from his ship, adjusting frequency and timing. Slowly, a small passage opened, shimmering with soft light. Kale smiled. Humans had a unique way of seeing patterns others missed. Creativity, intuition, and courage, qualities he carried, were his keys to survival here. Beyond the passage, Kale finally saw them. Two figures moved among the towers, cautious and alert. His heart leapt. The princesses were alive. Leora, smaller and younger, her hair like sunlight, peeked from behind a tower. Celine, taller and poised, watched with careful eyes. They had grown stronger during their captivity, but fear and wariness lingered in their expressions. Kale stepped forward, hands raised to show he meant no harm. "I'm here to help," he said softly. "I know where you are. I want to bring you home." The princesses froze, uncertainty in their eyes. Leora tilted her head, curious but hesitant. Celine's gaze was sharp, analytical. "Who are you?" Celine asked, her voice cautious. "How do we know you're not part of this trap?" Kale smiled gently. "I'm human. I come from far away across many stars. I've studied your signals and found the path to this place. I only want to help you." Celine studied him carefully. Her captors had always warned her to trust no one, to expect betrayal. Yet Kale's calm, thoughtful manner, his careful observation, and his respect for their space made her pause. Leora took a small step closer, curiosity winning over fear. Kyle knew he had to build trust quickly. "I don't have weapons that can harm anyone here," he said. "I rely on thinking, observation, and patience. That's how humans solve problems." He showed them a small device displaying the path home, highlighting the portal they needed to reach. "This is your way back, but we must act carefully. The portal is unstable and we don't have much time." Leora's eyes widened. "Back? You mean—" "Home," she whispered. The word felt magical, like a dream long forgotten. Celine remained silent, weighing Kale's words, testing their truth. Over the next hours, Kale guided them through the shifting terrain. The hidden realm was unpredictable. Gravity shifted in strange ways. Glowing plants moved with their own will, and energy pulses could trap or harm unwary travelers. Kale taught the princesses how to move carefully, observe patterns, and anticipate changes. Humans were survivors, he explained, and sometimes survival required patience and clever thinking. Together, they reached a crystalline lake. Its surface reflected multiple colors, shifting with the rhythm of the realm. Kale paused to rest. "We must conserve our energy," he said. "The final path to the portal is the hardest." Celine asked, "Why are you helping us?" "You don't even know us." Kyle looked at her with steady eyes. "Humans believe in hope. And sometimes hope isn't for ourselves, it's for others who cannot act alone. I want to see your family whole again. That is enough reason." The princesses exchanged a glance. Trust was growing, small but real. They followed Kale's instructions, moving carefully through forests of energy and hills that seemed to shift under their feet. Each step required attention, patience, and teamwork. Kyle encouraged them, showing that cleverness, courage, and observation could overcome even the most impossible obstacles. At one point, a wave of energy rose from the ground, forming a barrier between them and the portal. It pulsed violently, threatening to push them back. Kyle studied the pattern, noticing subtle repetitions. "Wait," he said. "It's like a rhythm. We move with it, not against it." He demonstrated, stepping in sync with the energy flow. Slowly the princesses followed, stepping carefully in rhythm. Step by step they crossed the barrier safely. Finally they reached the edge of the hidden dimension. Beyond it a glowing portal shimmered, unstable but open. Kale examined it carefully. "The portal reacts to energy and thought. We must focus together," he explained. Leora and Selene nodded, their faces a mixture of excitement and fear. Kyle held out his hands. "Trust me. We can do this together." The princesses hesitated, then placed their hands alongside his. Energy pulsed around them, responding to their combined focus. Slowly the portal stabilized, glowing brighter and forming a safe passage. Kale looked at them, smiling. "We are ready. Are you ready to go home?" Leora's face lit with hope, and even Selene allowed a small smile. Nodding, they stepped forward, ready to leave the hidden realm behind. As they approached the portal, Kyle felt a sense of accomplishment. Humans had a special ability to adapt, to observe and to solve problems others could not. His ingenuity and courage had brought them this far, proving once again that humans could make a difference even in the farthest reaches of the universe. Beyond the portal lay the Queen, their mother, waiting for a miracle she had hoped for but scarcely believed would come. Kyle's heart quickened. The journey was far from over, but for the first time in years the princesses could almost touch home. The hidden realm shimmered behind them, strange and beautiful, a world of challenges and lessons. Kale looked at the princesses, feeling the bond of trust forming, and knew that their courage, combined with human ingenuity, would carry them through the final challenges ahead. Together, they stepped into the portal, leaving the hidden realm behind. The adventure was far from over, but hope now guided them, stronger than fear. Back in the alien kingdom, Queen Elira sat in her private chambers. The walls, adorned with glowing crystals, reflected her somber mood. The palace had always been a place of life and laughter, but since the disappearance of her daughters it had grown silent. Every corner reminded her of loss. Every shadow seemed to whisper memories of Leora and Selene. Yet tonight something was different. A soft pulse of energy resonated through the palace, subtle but unmistakable. Elira's heart skipped a beat. She closed her eyes, focusing. The energy carried a pattern she knew in her soul, though she had never seen it before. It was the same energy she had felt the night her daughters vanished. Her attendants noticed her sudden stillness. "Your Majesty?" one asked cautiously. "I feel—" "Them," Elira whispered. "My daughters." "They are alive." The court fell silent. Some exchanged skeptical glances. The daughters had been missing for years. Many had given up hope. Yet Elira knew better. A mother's intuition was a force no one could dismiss. Meanwhile, far across space, Kale floated in the stellar Voyager, approaching the edge of the portal. He had guided the princesses through the hidden realm, teaching them to move carefully, to observe patterns and to work together. Now the portal shimmered ahead, a doorway back to the kingdom they had not seen in years. Kale activated a communication device, carefully aligning it with the kingdom's energy network. Ancient alien technology allowed messages to travel through energy pulses, and Kale had studied its patterns. With steady hands he transmitted a simple signal, a human voice carrying a message of hope. "This is Kale," he said, his tone calm and respectful. "I have found your daughters. They are safe. I will bring them home." Back in the palace, the crystal network picked up the signal. The message resonated through the chambers, filling the air with warmth. Elira's eyes widened. The sound of her daughter's safety, carried by a human from across the stars, was almost too much to believe. "Is it true?" she whispered, her voice trembling. "Yes, Your Majesty," Kale's voice replied. "They are alive. I have guided them safely through the hidden realm. We are ready to return, but the portal is unstable. We must act quickly." Elira's heart surged with hope. For years she had mourned, thinking the daughters were lost forever. Now a human, a being from a distant star, was Bryn. Kale guided the princesses through the final stretch of the hidden dimension. Beyond the shimmering portal lay the alien kingdom, their home. Yet the path back was filled with trials unlike anything they had faced so far. The hidden realm was alive with energy, shifting and moving in ways that challenged every step. Gravity pulled in strange directions. Paths disappeared only to reappear moments later, and glowing creatures darted unpredictably among the crystalline towers. "Stay close," Kale whispered. "Every step must be careful. Watch the patterns, move with them, not against them." Leora clutched his arm wide-eyed with wonder and fear. "It feels alive," she murmured. "It is," Kyle said softly. "This world responds to everything. Even fear or hesitation can change its flow." Celine nodded, stepping with careful precision. She had learned much from Kale, from observing patterns to thinking ahead, and now her patience and sharp mind guided them through the most dangerous stretches. The hidden dimension had shaped them, made them stronger, but its unpredictability remained a threat. Suddenly, a massive wave of energy rose from the ground. It twisted like a wall of light, glowing in blues and golds, and pulsed with immense power. The pulse was fast, almost impossible to track, but Kale's human ingenuity shone. He studied the rhythm of the wave, noticing the subtle rise and fall, the hidden gaps where movement was possible. "Step with me," he instructed. "Observe, adapt, and follow the flow." Carefully, Kale led the princesses. Leora's small feet followed his. Selene mirrored every calculated move, and together they passed through the wave safely. Their movements synchronized with the realm's rhythm, a combination of focus, courage, and trust. Humans had the ability to think differently, to adapt when the impossible seemed to block the path. Kale had shown them how. Beyond the energy wave, the terrain shifted again. Crystalline towers leaned unexpectedly. Paths floated above chasms of light, and the air shimmered with faint currents of energy that could disorient travelers. Kale's careful observation and human intuition guided them once more. He paused often, studying patterns, noting every fluctuation and predicting movements. Hours passed, and the hidden dimension tested them continuously. But the princesses had grown in skill and confidence. They began to anticipate the changes themselves, following Kale's example. Each challenge became a lesson in patience, observation, and teamwork. The bond between them strengthened, forming trust that was essential for the final stage of the journey. Finally, the portal to their world appeared ahead, glowing faintly, unstable, yet promising. It pulsed with energy that threatened to collapse at any moment. Kale's sensors detected massive fluctuations. One wrong step, one hesitation, and the portal could close forever, leaving the princesses trapped once again. "We must focus," Kyle said. "The portal responds to energy and thought. We move together, concentrate, and trust the path." The princesses nodded. Leora's small hand tightened around Kale's. Selena's eyes reflected determination. They had grown stronger in the hidden realm, shaped by its challenges, and now their courage was ready for the ultimate test. Kale led them in a careful step pattern, teaching them to move in rhythm with the portal's pulse. Energy waves licked around them, creating illusions and false paths, but the princesses had learned. They observed carefully, adjusting each movement. Humans had a unique ability to think flexibly, to improvise solutions when danger appeared. Kale relied on this skill to guide them through the final obstacle. Suddenly, a massive surge of energy erupted from the portal. The hidden dimension reacted violently, twisting paths and creating barriers. Leora gasped and Selena froze. Kale placed himself firmly between them and the energy surge. "Trust me," he said. "Move together. Focus. One step at a time." They followed his lead, their focus absolute. Step by step, wave by wave, they moved in unison, guided by observation, courage, and the lessons learned in the hidden realm. The surge passed, leaving the portal shimmering, stable enough to cross. Kyle took a deep breath. Almost there. Just a little further. As they approached the portal, shapes began to appear. Shadows of their world, glimpses of the palace, and the glimmer of the queen waiting. The sight renewed their strength. Leora smiled, excitement and hope shining in her eyes. Celine's cautious demeanor softened with relief. Kale led them into the portal, the glowing oval expanding around them. Energy surged, bending space and light, yet they moved steadily, focused on the destination. Human determination had carried them this far, proving that courage, observation, and intelligence could overcome even the strangest challenges of the universe. Finally, they stepped through. The hidden dimension fell behind, its strange energy fading as the palace of their world came into full view. The queen stood at the gates, her heart pounding. Crystal guards in attendance lined the corridors, witnessing the miraculous return. "Mother!" Leora cried, running forward. Celine followed, her steps measured but filled with joy. Elira rushed to embrace them, tears streaming freely. For years she had mourned, but now hope, joy, and relief flooded her heart. Kale stood aside, watching the reunion. His mission was complete, yet he knew the hidden dimension remained a lesson. Humans, with their courage, ingenuity, and adaptability, had bridged worlds and reunited a family that had been lost for years. His actions had shown the alien kingdom that human traits, cleverness, empathy, and boldness were capable of feats beyond imagination. The princesses clung to their mother, sharing stories of their time in the hidden realm. They spoke of glowing forests, shifting landscapes, and the lessons learned from observation and teamwork. The queen listened, amazed at their resilience and growth. Humans had been the key to their survival, their guidance proving invaluable. Elira turned to Kale, her eyes filled with gratitude. "You have done what no one thought possible. You have brought my daughters home." Kale smiled. "It was not just me. Humans survive by thinking, observing, and working with others. Your daughters showed courage, too. Together we made it happen." The palace and city seemed to shine brighter, reflecting the energy of reunion and hope. Crystal towers glowed with vibrant colors, the air shimmered with joy, and the citizens celebrated quietly but with profound relief. A family was whole again, and the kingdom had witnessed the power of courage, intelligence, and determination, traits that humans had brought across the stars. Kale prepared to return to his ship. The hidden dimension's energy still lingered at the edges of the portal, reminding him that curiosity, courage, and careful observation had been necessary to succeed. Humans, he realized, had a way of turning challenges into opportunities, and this adventure was proof. The queen, holding her daughters close, reflected on the events of the past hours. Loss had been replaced by hope, fear by trust, and despair by courage. And all of it had come because a human had dared to journey across the stars, facing dangers and unknown worlds to reunite a family. The portal stabilized behind them, shimmering faintly. The hidden dimension waited, lessons and mysteries intact. Kale knew that other worlds might need similar courage, and humans would always rise to meet the impossible. For the first time in many years, the queen, her daughters, and the people of the kingdom felt something they had almost forgotten: hope. It was stronger than ever, carried across space by a human who had dared to believe in the impossible. The palace of Queen Elira glowed under the twin moons, its crystal towers reflecting light in a dazzling display. The city streets were alive with whispers of hope and joy. For years, grief had shadowed every corner of the kingdom, but now laughter and relief returned. The princesses, Leora and Selene, were home at last. Elira held her daughters close, tears streaming freely. "I never thought this day would come," she whispered, her voice trembling with emotion. Leora hugged her tightly while Selene rested her head on her mother's shoulder, careful but filled with quiet joy. The reunion was more than just a family moment. It was a restoration of hope for the entire kingdom. Kale watched silently from the edge of the courtyard, a small smile on his face. He had guided the princesses through the hidden dimension, overcoming dangers, puzzles, and unpredictable energy flows. Humans had always been known for their courage, ingenuity, and adaptability, and this adventure had proven it again. A single human had crossed the stars to bring back two lost princesses, changing the fate of an entire kingdom. Elira turned to Kale, gratitude shining in her eyes. "You have done more than I could have imagined. You have reunited my family and reminded us all of hope's power. How can I ever thank you? Kale shook his head gently. No thanks are necessary, Your Majesty. Humans do what they must. Courage, observation, and patience are enough. Your daughters showed incredible strength, too. Together, we made it possible. The princesses had grown stronger during their time in the Hidden Realm. Leora's curiosity and enthusiasm had never diminished, but now they were paired with resilience and bravery. Celine, once cautious and analytical, had learned to trust others and act with confidence. Both had faced challenges that tested them physically and mentally, shaping them into capable young leaders. The city celebrated quietly but profoundly. Crystal towers glowed brighter, their energy pulses synchronized with the joy that flowed through the streets. Citizens came to the palace to see the princesses, offering smiles, kind words,